Welcome to episode 54 of the Animorphs Read-Along broadcast. Today we are talking about book 47, The Resistance. So there's a lot going on in this book. I would say probably too much. We have the Free Hork-Bajir Valley under Yeerk attack. They have asked the Animorphs to help them defend their home. Then we also have this other story, which really takes up about half the book. It's told from this guy named Isaiah's perspective, and he's some distant old relative of Jake's, and he's fighting in the Civil War. And basically, these two stories have all of these parallels, and then the book ends with them sort of successfully defending the Hork-Bajir Valley. So let's start with the flashbacks to Isaiah, because it's not a terrible idea, but it did not work in this book. This book is telling a huge story, defending the Hork-Bajir Valley, this big, epic battle. We have now like 10 to 15 characters in play, and that story ended up feeling really rushed, while the Isaiah story dragged on. And I can't lie, I didn't even read the last two Isaiah chapters, but I loved the way this book opened. Jake, it's a rainy day, and his mom wants him to clean out the basement, and I do think that there's something to be said for these small, quiet moments and just like dwelling on them. While the rest of the book felt rushed, this was a chapter that really took its time. So in this glorious opening chapter, Jake is sorting stuff in the basement into boxes, and he's like, "Mom, Stephanie finds something of Tom's." He's about to write like Tom's stuff on a box, and then he ends up putting it in a box and labels it trash. And he says, "I don't have a brother anymore." I think this is one of the first moments where we see that Jake has given up on Tom. Like, he's like, "I'm never getting Tom back. I don't have a brother anymore. His stuff is trash." Definitely a shift in the way that we're seeing Jake approach the Tom problem. When the Animorphs all meet up together for the first time, we get to see some of the fallout from the previous book, and Jake's talking about Axe, and he says, "I was proud of Axe. Mad at him too. I miss the times when our friendship was easier. Hoped it would get better, but for now we both kind of pretended nothing major had gone down between us. It's what we have to do." These relationships have been complicated for a long time, but they're all about to complicate even more. The simple days of everyone being besties are over. So the main morph in this book is the beaver. This was actually kind of cool. Like, beavers are obviously not action hero animals, but they're really interesting, and the whole dam building thing is fascinating to me. But once again, because of the rushed nature of this book, I don't think we really dwelt on the beaver the way that maybe we dwelt on the dolphin in some of the earlier books. While the Animorphs are building a dam in the hopes of flooding the Hork-Bajir Valley when the Yeerks come, something really weird happens with Tobias and Jake. So there are these campers camping. They're just gonna get killed. We need to clear them out of the area. There are about 101,000 ways to do this without blowing your cover. Morph to tiger and scare them away, or like wreck their campsite as an animal. Jake and Tobias go and have this really sad little attempt to manipulate these people to leave, and then when that doesn't work, Jake's like, "Well, I'm just gonna show you." Basically winds up recruiting like maybe 6 or 7 of these people to come back and help defend the Hork-Bajir Valley. These people are Trekkies, which is pretty funny, and so they instantly are like, "Yeah, aliens, of course they're real. They're also civilians and have no business fighting a war against the Yeerks." It was especially weird because this happened. When they're walking towards the campsite, Jake says, "Thank God we could finally morph some halfway decent clothes. The result of a whole lot of experience. Boys in t-shirts and jeans generally look a lot saner than boys in spandex." When did this happen? I mean, I just feel like I should have been notified. Like, you guys don't have to wear morphing outfits anymore. You can morph full-blown clothes. And then like a page later, Tobias says, "Are you just going to smile and look stupid in our morphing outfits? So I thought you guys were in jeans and a t-shirt." This was just really bad editing. I mean, it kind of makes sense that they would be able to morph clothes at this point, but just be consistent, guys. Whatever Jake has told the other Animorphs about he and Tobias did in bringing the Trekkies on board, he says, not that it really mattered what Axe or anyone else thought, as long as they acted with loyalty. This is an interesting moment because Jake is done worrying what his friends think. Jake's headed in a new direction for sure. So a couple of the campers come back. The Yeerks come to the valley. Big epic battle ensues. It was a neat battle, and it felt realistic that they were able to hold them off because of all the preparation that they had done and because of the eventual flooding from the river. Again, probably a really pointless loss of life, considering that if they had just fled the valley into the hills, and decided they would come back after the war, the end result would be exactly the same, because after they successfully defended the valley, they fled into the hills and said, we'll come back later. We're really in final days here, and now they also have these extra humans in tow. Their sort of last hope, which was this free hidden valley, has now been taken from them. So yeah, those are all my thoughts about Animorphs number 47, The Resistance. The next book is going to be the Ellimist Chronicles. I've been doing this in publishing order since the beginning, so I'm sticking with that. But the Ellimist Chronicles does have kind of a major spoiler, so for anyone who's reading the series for the first time, just be aware of that. Once again, this is publishing order, so it was sort of an intentional spoiler that was released to the public. If you want to keep up with this read-along, subscribe to this channel or follow me on Twitter, and I will see you on Thursday.